Your father was captain of a starship for 12 minutes. He saved 800 lives, including your mother's and yours. I dare you to do better.
One of the most bizarre things you can experience as a parent is when you see your kids, either the way they look or some of their actions, how it's reminiscent of you, your parents, or some other relative. Why do people act up for cameras? I certainly don't. I'm perfectly serious. I behave in a rational and normal fashion. But some people, who I won't name, insist on being incredibly silly. I don't at all. It happens over and over and over, and you think, how much is behavioural and how much is really genetic of our behaviour? Science fiction book that I'm reading at the moment really brings this to the fore. Hi there individuals, my name is Julian Biddle and I want to talk a little bit about how much your ancestry affects you. As an individual, we have our destiny in our own hands. The way we are, the way we behave, it's all about us and what we decide to do, isn't it? You know, that's a Western point of view, but there's another point of view.
Will bring punishment on their fathers and their sons and their children and their children's children. We will destroy all their camels.
Many people today, and also people in ancient times, used to believe that children were accountable for the sins of their parents, their grandparents, and their ancestors. They were considered to be an extension of them. And we know that a lot of countries believe that today. A lot of the problems and discord in the world are due to things that grandparents and parents may have done, and the children are just carrying on the ideas. So I'm reading this book called Seveneves, and it's called Seveneves because it's about 7 actual Eves, or progenitors of a human race. In the science fiction novel, you see the 7 Eves are 7 survivors of the human race, women who from themselves breed a whole lot of different nations. The interesting thing about Seveneves is it takes the idea that a single ancestor can have a big influence on their progeny. It does this in a peculiar way, not only through genetics, but the ancestors of these 7 Eves actually had videos and so forth done of their lives, and then their ancestors got to know their progenitor really, really well. The descendants of the Seveneves used to take the actions of their progenitors very seriously, and they used to revere and commemorate them and use that as an identity. Very much the way that many nations can trace back their customs and behaviours either to a religion or a person or an idea. But Seveneves takes that and puts it in a modern context with video. Obviously, this isn't just science fiction. We have the potential today to create video that our ancestors will see. They will learn about themselves by looking at us. They will judge themselves. They will probably make up traditions and customs based on what we do and say. And the creation of video, the ability for electronics to keep everything we do and say, is a weighty responsibility. It's also an opportunity, I suppose, that I think future generations will find enriching. So, I guess what all this comes down to is that we think that we're individuals, that we're just ourselves, but really we are at the end of a long line of different ancestors whose behaviours, impulses, thoughts and physical ailments are all part of us. And I think that rather than judging ourselves and putting ourselves up to some very high standard of someone else, we are in fact a product of a long line of strengths as well as weaknesses. Also, with our kids, don't be fooled. They are paying attention. You might think your kids aren't listening to you, but they are watching. And they're not just, well, they may not be listening, or they may not seem to be listening, but they're watching your behaviour all the time. And that's something I'm very conscious of. It's worth a thought. Cheers.